Welcome to Project Beast. Some people think power is loud. They think dominance has to announce itself, posture, perform, prove. But the real ones know something different. Real power is quiet, still, observing. And because it doesn't beg to be seen, it gets tested.
I was just saying that
If you've ever been the calm one in the room,
really,
the listener, the one who doesn't react fast, who doesn't argue just to be heard, then you already know this feeling. People try you. They push your boundaries. They talk over you. They assume your silence is weakness. They mistake your peace for passivity. And that right there is the first misunderstanding. Calm is not the absence of strength. Calm is strength under control. But the world doesn't recognize controlled power at first glance. The world recognizes noise. So when you move with quiet presence, you become a question mark in a world that is used to exclamation points. And people, consciously or not, feel the need to test what they don't understand. Why are the quiet ones tested? Because silence makes people uncomfortable. When you don't over-explain yourself, when you don't rush to defend your choices, when you don't compete for attention, others are forced to sit with their own thoughts, and most people don't like that. They want reactions. They want emotional feedback. They want proof that you can move you. So they poke. They make small jokes at your expense to see if you'll laugh along. They cross minor boundaries to see if you'll let it slide. They speak to you with a little less respect to see if you'll correct them. It's rarely dramatic. It's subtle, social, psychological. They are not just testing your personality. They are testing your nervous system. Can you stay grounded when someone tries to pull you into drama? Can you stay composed when someone disrespects you lightly, just enough to be deniable? Can you hold eye contact without anger, without fear, just presence? Most people can't. That's why they're loud. Noise is a cover for a lack of internal stability. But when you're calm, truly calm, not frozen, not shut down, but centered, you are operating from a different level of power, and others feel that difference before they understand it. Here's the part nobody tells you. The tests are not a sign that you are failing. They are a sign that people are trying to figure out where you stand. Every social environment has an invisible ranking system, not based only on money or looks, but on emotional stability, self-respect, and boundaries. When you enter a space with quiet energy, people don't have easy data on you. You're not oversharing. You're not signaling insecurity. You're not competing for attention. So they run small experiments. What happens if I interrupt them? What happens if I show up late? What happens if I speak to them casually? What happens if I ignore their message? Your response writes your position. If you laugh off everything, over-explain, apologize for existing, or tolerate repeated disrespect, you teach people that your calmness comes from fear, that you are quiet because you are unsure. And once that label sticks, it spreads. People treat you accordingly. But if your calm is paired with quiet boundaries, everything changes. You don't explode. You don't give speeches. You don't try to dominate the room. You simply adjust behavior. You shorten access. You correct tone with few words. You let your face go neutral instead of friendly when someone crosses a line. You take your time responding instead of chasing approval. That's when the testing slows down, because now your calmness has weight. There's a big difference between being quiet because you're afraid to take up space and being quiet because you don't need to. One shrinks, the other contains. People test the quiet ones because they're looking for the edge. They're trying to find out where your limit is. And if you don't know your own limits, the world will set them for you, lower than you deserve. The truth is, calm people often grew up learning to manage chaos. Maybe you were the peacemaker. Maybe you learned early that reacting emotionally made things worse, so you built control, you built awareness, you built restraint. That's power. But if you never learn to pair that control with assertiveness, your gift becomes a trap. You become the stable one everyone leans on, but no one protects. The understanding one, the patient one, the one who won't mind. And over time, that creates quiet resentment. Project Beast is about changing that pattern. Calmness should not mean you are easy to access. Calmness should not mean you tolerate disrespect. Calmness should not mean you carry everyone else's emotional weight while ignoring your own needs. True beast mentality is not loud aggression, it is controlled intensity. It is the ability to stay relaxed while being fully capable of escalation if necessary. Not because you want to escalate, but because you can. That energy is felt. When someone makes a subtle disrespectful comment and you don't laugh, don't argue, don't perform, but simply look at them for a second longer than comfortable and change the subject, you communicate something powerful. You say, without words, I am not here to be played with. When someone repeatedly cancels plans and you calmly stop offering your time, you communicate value. You don't chase, you don't complain, you just adjust access. When someone raises their voice and you lower yours, slow your breathing, and speak clearly instead of matching their emotion, you shift the frame. You show nervous system dominance. And that is a level of power most people have never developed. This is why the quiet ones are tested. Because when quiet people finally step into conscious power, they become unshakable. Loud people can be baited. Emotional people can be manipulated. Insecure people can be controlled with approval or rejection. But a calm person who knows their worth, who has boundaries, who is willing to walk away without drama, is very hard to move. That kind of person doesn't need to threaten. Their absence is the consequence. Their silence is the message. Their standards do the talking. And once people realize that your calmness is not weakness, but contained strength, the energy shifts. The same people who tested you start respecting you, not because you demanded it loudly, but because your behavior made it clear that access to you is earned, not assumed. You don't have to become louder. You have to become clearer. Clear about what you accept, clear about what you don't, clear in your tone, your time, your availability. Calm on the surface, solid underneath. That is the evolution. The world will always test quiet strength at first glance. That's part of the process, but every test is an opportunity to teach people how to treat you, without speeches, without drama, without losing your center. You don't need to prove you're a beast. You need to embody it, quietly, consistently, and without seeking validation. Because real dominance doesn't shout. It settles into the room and lets everyone else adjust. If this message resonated with you, you're exactly who Project Beast is built for. Subscribe to Project Beast for more on calm power, psychological strength, and modern beast mentality. Share this with someone who needs to understand that being quiet doesn't mean being weak. And drop a comment if you've ever been tested just because you chose peace over noise. Power without noise. Control without chaos. Welcome to Project Beast.
Hey, watch where you're going.